A review of the primary and secondary school curriculum in the country has become imperative in view of the falling standard of education in Nigeria. This week's edition of the program x-rays the revised curriculum and its possible impact on the performance of students. Hello there, thank you for joining us on the program this week. I'm Gloria Umezuke. The Nigerian Educational Research and Development Center is in charge of curriculum review for primary and secondary school education in Nigeria. Well, it has just concluded the project of upgrading the basic education curriculum and presented it to members of the Nigerian public. Now, the question is this latest development going to help solve the challenge of mass failures in West African Examinations Council, that's WAEC? Well, I had an interview with the Executive Secretary of the center. But up ahead, the federal government has launched an e-curriculum portal to aid teaching and learning for senior secondary schools in the country.
And for those who've been asking, how does it work?
But with the introduction of the e-curriculum by the Nigerian Educational Research and Development Council through a public-private partnership, there is now easy access online to the prescribed national curriculum in all subjects offered at the senior secondary education level in Nigeria.
It's an encouragement for states too, because this issue of curriculum has been a problem, where people say that they cannot access the curriculum. It has been a problem for us. Each year we want to ask for funding. How do we produce and distribute them? So it's going to help the students to have access to the curriculum, know the subjects and what topics are supposed to learn. It will also help the teachers in planning their weekly, or what they call their daily lesson plans.
The e-curriculum would equally tackle the problem of poor performance by candidates in public examinations conducted by the West African Examinations Council and the National Examination Council.
Value to the curriculum by providing for each rubric of the curriculum, for each theme, for each sub-theme, for each subject matter, model lesson plan, model lesson note, model scheme of work, questions that are cross-cutting, model answers and so on, that will make teaching and learning inclusive and self-independent.
Like the school administrator might want to know the subjects that we have for the new education system, and he doesn't have access to it. What does he need to do? He go to the portal and he can click on the subject listing that will even tell you the ones that are compulsory and the ones that are not.
As a student, it takes only 300 naira to gain access to the e-curriculum, and every school can gain access for the year with just 50,000 naira. Well, this is intended to bridge every gap inhibiting the delivery of quality education in the country. On our interview this week, I spoke with Professor Godswill Obioma of the NERDC. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Well, let's begin now with the quality of graduates, with which a lot of people say is diminishing. And of course, they say research has taken the backstage. What's your perspective on this?
Well, I would say that my take on that is that, of course, yes, quality of graduates is diminishing in terms of output, in terms of skills acquired, in terms of competencies demonstrated, in terms of engaging themselves with their world of work, in terms of independence to create their own jobs and develop their experiences within their communities. I could say, yes, it's diminishing, but I wouldn't say it's that for everybody. There are still a few that are outstanding. I've come across a few of them that talk excitingly of what they intend to do with themselves. Sometimes answer what they've studied in the university, but there are some of them that are very indolent, dull. They couldn't move until you tell them what to do. They had problem of composing simple texts, reading simple text with comprehension. I've come across graduates who couldn't write essays, who couldn't write precis, who couldn't write applications. But on the other hand, on the other extreme of the divide, I've come across graduates who hold their head up and say, of course, here I am. And so that's my take on that.
But it's amazing that, we see graduates that can't compose text messages, you say?
I didn't say text messages, I say text passages. You know, I asked you to write an application. I asked you to summarize a story. I asked you to say something about yourself in writing, and you couldn't just say anything. I think the interacting factor is the SMS messages, where when you say you, when you say come, you say CM, and so on and so forth. I think that is going to a lot way to influence the way they operate in their world of work. And so it's very, very despicable.
What is responsible for this?
I could say a number of factors, but I could also attribute them to the quality of teaching, quality of their lecturers. You recall that there's an idea that says no society develops above the quality of the teaching capacity. So what you put in a pot, like a Chinese proverb says, you cannot get out of a pot more than what you put in it. So the quality of teaching is one. The environment in which teaching takes place in a number of universities and tertiary institutions, infrastructure has simply broken down beyond imagination. Then I could say the laxity of students to read. Laxity. People do not want to do the laborious way of getting information, go to library, read, revise what they are taught. Everybody wants to get something quick, and so it has affected them. So there are a number of factors that has given rise to this kind of phenomenon. It's really very unfortunate.
Well, let's come to NERDC, which is directly under your purview. It has upgraded the curriculum for senior secondary schools, and now we're wondering what difference will this make to the output in the education sector?
Well, what we've tried to do is to think of best practice globally, knowledge production, knowledge management, and of course we think of knowledge economy, and we ask ourselves, how could Nigeria be part of this with our vision? You recall the popular vision 2020. If we are going to be one of the high-playing countries in the year 2020, among the 20 of them, then we need to do something about the educational system, the way knowledge is delivered in the classroom. And so from our own context, we thought we should improve the content of what is taught, the content standard, the curriculum, not just for primary and junior secondary school, but also for senior secondary school. And so improving curriculum and content means we need to develop curriculum that is globally comparative, that may also give Nigerians a competitive advantage. Education evolves from the ethos of the community to resolve issues of the community and so on, and also to compete globally, because the world is a small space. So we then revise the curriculum for the basic education. We introduce basic science and technology. What was taught before was primary science, and so we thought that primary science was not enough at all. So students need to learn the rubrics, the culture of technology from the primary school to the junior secondary school. We also introduced the pre-vocational studies that will give them entrepreneurial experiences at that level. We also, because of the engagements of security and the need to evolve a platform of national values, we've also introduced security education. We've expanded religion in terms of teaching enough for the tenets, but also to use it to temper the mind, to enable people learn to live together. That's what is happening in the world, to reduce conflicts. And so we've also introduced French. You recall that Nigeria is within the Committee of Nations around our borders that are Francophone. So we need to also have a competitive advantage. If you go to speak to a Togolese, the person speaks English and speaks French. But a Nigerian just glass around in English language and gets lost when they are discussing in French. So we thought that we could have a diplomatic advantage if our students also learn French. We've introduced French. And then at the level of business and enterprise, we've introduced enterprise education to enable people to begin to grow the culture of independence. At the senior secondary school level, we've revised the curriculum context in the way of introducing entrepreneurial skills. It wasn't there before, what was there before was purely academic, and so when people come out of school, maybe at the age of 18, they only engage themselves with academic contents. They couldn't engage themselves in their world of work. So we've introduced 34 entrepreneurial experiences, garment making, hair dyeing, and vocational skills that will enable them create their own jobs, even if they don't go to the university. And even if they stop there, they have a basis of survival.
And particular about the security education, how would you help translate this knowledge in the North, to the students?
Yeah, security education is about being aware of your society, being conscious of what is around you, being responsive to issues of security, being able to know what to do when you find yourself in a conflict situation. Security education goes beyond that. It teaches you how to live together peacefully with people, how to create an environment of ambience, how to relate with people not of your own stock, to accommodate, opinions that are not yours, to combat what the National Security Advisor's Office calls combating extreme violence, and so on and so forth, extremism, So that's what security education is. So for people in the North, I think it's very good for them, especially in the Northeast, but also security, or what we call opinions of extremism, violent extremism, is not just peculiar to the North. Those in the Southeast that go around kidnapping people, it's extreme behavior, extreme violence. I mean, you go catch somebody without knowledge, it's extremism. Those in the south, in the riverine and so on, that engage themselves with militancy, it's extremism. And in fact, I would like to say that even those in Lagos, those area boys, it's extremism. They create their own laws, develop their tax systems, and impose their ideas on people. These are all phenomena of extremism. So the security education is not just for those in the North, it's also for everybody, every Nigerian. And the whole idea is to create a culture of peace, create of learning to live together, and also responding to issues that could create security challenges to you, to be able to know what to do. And to relate to the security forces, for instance, to give information. One thing that facilitates control of security challenges is to provide information to the security agencies, and they work with information. So what we try to do is to get our people engage themselves in the culture of this through education. That's the whole value of security education. It was not there before, but as society changes, you need also to change the content of education to respond positively to societal demands.
We're still with the Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Educational Research and Development Council, Professor